Update, we filed a lawsuit against our neighbors. If you missed the first part of the story, I'll put it on the screen right here. You're gonna wanna watch it first. I don't make the rules.
Okay, so I had just left my neighbor's house from confronting the gentlemen that were in my backyard and was told by my neighbor that they work for her and that I am not supposed to be talking to them and for them not to talk to me. And she became irate and was yelling and screaming, and she said she was going to call the police, and I said she did need to call the police because she was out of control. And as I'm walking back to my house and getting to my back porch, I can still hear her yelling. At this point now, she's on the phone with the police department screaming that I'm harassing her, that I am causing trouble with her surveyors and the people that are working for her. And as you can see, they sent out multiple units. I want to say there was 5 units that day, and 2 of them left after they realized it wasn't that much.
5 units arriving to this house for that? Give me a break. It's like having the SWAT team roll up.
That was an emergency, but 3 of them, as you can see, are walking up to my porch. No ticket or citation or warning was given because there was nothing for them to give me a ticket for. I'm not sure if they spoke to the surveyors or not. And because there was no ticket or citation given, there was no actual full or police report made. So again, it's only a CAD report or a call log that states what the caller who called it in said. So it's only going to be one-sided. There was no, statement from the surveyors themselves. Some of the calls that were made, I had kept note of, but when I went to go pull all the CAD reports or police reports, not all of them were there, I guess because maybe there wasn't enough for them to even record or keep track of. To me, it's so bizarre that she would call the police stating that I was causing all this trouble for someone that was on my property when she is the one who constantly calls saying that we are trespassing, yet she found it okay to send people onto our property without our permission.
This police department probably sees her name or her number popping up and they're like, we're not in office. You're not allowed to use 911 anymore, ma'am.
Actually, when I was on the property line talking to her and the surveyors, I mentioned that to her. I said, Bridget, what are you doing? Why are you sending people into our land? You know that if we were to do something like that.
Her name is Bridget. We've just been calling her Karen this whole time.
You would go crazy over that. And she said for me to get over it. I know this all seems so crazy that it seems almost like far-fetched and untrue, but this is a living nightmare.
Honestly, I wouldn't believe your story if you didn't have the audio recordings, all this evidence, because it's crazy to think someone's called the police like 50 times, genuinely.
Yes, let's talk about where my kids should be able to fish, use their boat, and play. This is normally where we would launch our boat.
Oh, I have always wondered this. I need to know. I need the specs.
And come through. But as you can see, she's got it blocked with this
oh my god,
fence of whatever you want to call this thing. Such an eyesore. And this is the same fence that my son was getting his fishing line out of on the other side. And she called the sheriff saying that he was trespassing. But he was in his boat the entire time, never stepped foot off of his boat, and was wearing his life preserver and everything else that he was supposed to be doing. And she's trying to press charges on my 13-year-old for a fishing line. Also, she calls the sheriff whenever the fishing line, if we're fishing from our own property, as you see here, and it goes into that side of the waterway. She will call the sheriff because the fishing line went into her water.
Look at that stupid fence.
Now, we leave out of here.
That has to be the pettiest thing that we have ever experienced together on my channel. Lord have mercy. I could never.
And go right there through there to the main river. And as you can see, this is her backyard, and then this is ours here. And so it's kind of a unique situation. And I guess since her water is coming onto my property,
wow,
maybe I should call the sheriff like she would call on me. And just a reminder that she is trying to press charges on a 13-year-old for trespassing, getting his fishing line out of this dangerous fence she's put up. What an evil human.
The worst part is is that I believe Bridget truly would call the police if your water was moving onto her property. I would not put it past her.
Okay, remember whenever the neighbor called the Marine Division on us for causing a leak? Well, we officially have a police report after 30 calls, our first one. Check it out.
Let's do it.
Okay, and you can pause and read if you want to, but on Monday, May 22nd at approximately 17:04 hours, Deputy Blank at Blank, assigned to the Special Operations Division Marine Unit, was dispatched to in reference to a no-wake zone violation. Upon arrival, the aforementioned location, the reporting deputy spoke with complainant. She and her neighbors who reside directly next to each other at Blank have been having a civil dispute for the past 3 years.
3 years in 2023. Oh my God. 2025, you're going to be at your 5-year anniversary with Bridget. Bless your soul.
During this time, there have been controversies over the use of the body of water that residents have access to. She also wished to inform the reporting deputy the young juveniles at the residence have previously trespassed onto her property. She elaborated on the incident by explaining that juveniles would fish from their own property, but their fishing line crossed onto her property. The juveniles' fishing line in the water on her side of the property line was construed as trespassing. She continued by stating approximately 2 years prior, she asked the neighbors not to cause a wake while operating their small flatboats in the slough. She was aware the slough she was referring to was a body of water that is not recognized by Blank as a no-wake zone area. She claimed the flatboats were causing erosion damage to her property and wished for the deputies to speak with them about the matter. She further showed the reporting deputy a video of the juveniles riding in a small motorized canoe, at which time both juveniles appeared to be wearing their personal flotation devices and no violations were observed. It should be noted was referred to parish councilman to petition a no-wake zone area be established. Blank was advised there were no criminal charges which would be pursued at this time, but initial report would be generated documenting the incident. Shortly thereafter, the reporting deputy relocated to the neighbor's residence. Deputy Blank spoke with me, who resides at Blank, explained the concerns she had, and she stated her family members have no to stay off of her property. She further advised her juvenile has a valid Louisiana boater safety card and adheres to the safety regulations anytime in the motorized vessel. Blank was advised to body of water was not recognized by the Blank as a no-wake zone area, and although no criminal charges would be pursued at this time, an attempt for civil lawsuit could be pursued. Upon concluding the investigation, Blank was advised an initial report would be generated documenting today's incident. Oh, that was tough to read with the blanks. But as you can see,
I'm really glad that you read it and I didn't.
she truly believes that a fishing line going in her portion of the water is trespassing and is trying to press charges against my son for trespassing. Criminal charges for a fishing line. Unreal, right?
It actually is unreal. And at what point, Bridget, at what point does this become embarrassing to you? Did we all just hear that police report on these criminal charges? I need a sip of water. Grab your beverage of choice. We're hopping on hydration station. Take a sip of water. Your body needs it. That's what they say anyway. Cheers.
Y'all, I seriously can't make this stuff up. I had my boys outside cleaning up and cutting the limbs on the trees around the property line.
Oh,
And our neighbor comes outside yelling and recording them that our tree limbs were going into her water. And if we didn't pick them up immediately, she was going to call the police.
Oh God.
Here they are cleaning them up. Just so you know what we're up against. Like, seriously? You have nothing else better to do than watch us out of your window and record my children cutting tree limbs off of our trees? We can hardly go outside without her saying something that we're doing wrong. It's out of control.
It's actually become a full-time job for Bridget over there. That's her duty every day. She's out there, camera ready, in her windows, watching, just waiting for the opportunity for you to do something wrong where she can call the cops and have a valid police report.
Hey TikTokers, let's talk about the lawsuit my neighbors has filed against us. Now remember, they filed a injunction or a restraining order and it was dismissed. This is the lawsuit side of things. I made some key points. This is not all the legal jabble. So this is just the key points from it. Now remember, this is pretty redundant because every time they've sent anything to us, it's the same old song and dance. We've been liable for damages because of making false and defamatory claims on TikTok. They have called to complain about these to numerous agencies, and nothing has been done. We have created a nuisance. We intentionally cause emotional distress through illegal conduct. Minors have repeatedly trespassed. Our dogs and animals continually come onto their property. They sent a cease and desist letter regarding our legal behavior. Land survey stakes that we continually knock down of theirs has cost them money. Minor children have created waterborne incursions. We have disobeyed the HOA. We've operated gas-powered watercraft and caused wakes. We make false claims against them to the HOA. This has caused them emotional distress and is extreme. We were negligent. We breached our duty of
Next time someone calls me dramatic, I'm just going to read this police report and this lawsuit.
Code of conduct, and we've caused them damages. We will not allow them to enjoy their property. We invade their privacy. So that's what the lawsuit reads and what they're claiming. As I've mentioned before in many of my videos, we're not doing these things. These are false claims against us. The cease and desist letter, I believe, in my opinion, that they misled their previous attorney who sent it, because the things that we were doing were not illegal. The water is not theirs. It is not ours. It's for everyone to enjoy. The fence, the big one that a lot of people have asked me about, is still there. It was not mentioned in court because it wasn't part of the injunction. As I've read just now, it's also not part of the lawsuit against us. Some other things I recently found out from a little birdie is that they have accused us of staring at them on our property, and that we continually stare while they're outside at them, and it was in a threatening way. They said that their daughter feels and has said the same thing. They also say they just want us to leave them alone. And
ma'am, there is nothing we want more than to leave you alone and to not speak ever again. Trust me.
Another big thing is she said that we were disciplined, and then things quieted down for a little while, and then we started up again. We were never disciplined. We were never given a citation or a ticket or told that we were doing anything wrong. So never at any point were we ever disciplined, and we never stopped living our life. So that's not true either. None of the things I've said on TikTok have been untrue. And in fact, they're all legal documents that I usually read from. Okay guys, I'm gonna do 2 videos today. If you've been following along about my neighbors who's been harassing us for the past 3 years, I'm gonna do the third part of the audio right now, but then after this I'm gonna do a video of the water fence and kind of where we are and give you an update on that. So if you haven't watched the audio, go back and watch the other 2, and here's the rest of it from yesterday.
The other audio part is in part 1.
We're using their kids to do this stuff, and it's not fair. It's not fair.
I get it. And that's beef between the adults, between you and the parents.
You know, let me just say,
And-
She's going to get her husband.
no, because we're not, no. He's like, we do go on the juvenile record, and I'm fine with that. And, but he's like, just coming over to pick up a piece of trash. It's not because he came over to pick up a piece of trash. He knows not to do
And look,
that.
I'm not, and I just told you, I'm not sitting here trying to paint you to be a bad person. Like I said, I don't know y'all's history. I don't live here. I've never dealt with y'all, like anything between you two before. So this is my first time hearing about any of this.
Well,
So,
we can't let this pass. Because
and what I just explained to her is, like, if you want something documented, like saying that we came out here, that he was doing what he was doing, to bring up to your attorneys whenever y'all deal with that, with all the civil stuff, by all means. But
this is criminal. This is criminal.
and I gotta get that cleared. Anyway, not necessarily. I gotta get that cleared. So, because that's, as far as I know, and that's coming from anybody that works out on the water, that any accessible waterway like that, that's all that, like, you can't own the water. So you might be able to own the land, but you can't own the water.
No, that's not true.
And that-
That's not
here we
true.
go.
The water
Okay.
on this
Telling the police officer that's not
Then
true.
you cannot own the water, and for somebody to travel on it.
Now, there's case law and there's precedent with Louisiana.
Yes.
With people that have canals, like they can block the canal off because the water is not publicly accessible.
Right, but that canal's also not blocked off.
That's not true.
This is wherever that leads out to. I'm not even sure where that leads out to, but
But anyway, they need, clearly, if that boy, if he had fallen over and he had
They're just not happy that the police officer is not agreeing with them and telling them what they want to hear.
drowned, they would have a case against us.
And you don't think they would? Of course they would.
Well, if they want to sue you for anything, they can, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll win either. Just like you guys are going to try to sue them for the defamation and stuff, that doesn't mean you're automatically guaranteed to win.
She's over there.
That's fine. I'm about to go over there and talk to her. But
So,
Well, let's see that.
but how I
And they're so worried about my son in a P-row with his life jacket on, and some of the water you can actually touch back there. And yet their water fence isn't a thought of danger.
I truly love that she has just continued to film all these TikToks despite the defamation case, and she's like, I'm still gonna tell this entire story as it unfolds.
Remember when my neighbor called the police on my 13-year-old for trespassing in her water while using his P-row? Well, I just downloaded the police report. Let me show you.
All right.
Okay, so on June 15th, 2023, the deputy was dispatched to her home in reference to a trespassing complaint. She stated that my son had trespassed onto her property and advised there was issues ongoing with us. She also stated that she had contacted different agencies around the parish approximately 30 times, including the sheriff's office and the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Additionally, she stated there was an ongoing defamation lawsuit happening between the neighbor's family and herself. That's new. She stated she recently put up video surveillance cameras per her lawyer's request and planted metal posts along her surveyed land within the water on the side of the slough connected to the free-flowing canal. The posts were to indicate the surveyed property line between her residence and hers. She explained that on today's date, the juvenile went into the pirogue, slid around the furthest post, and retrieved a plastic jug with a line running through it out of the water. When observed, she stated she got off her lawnmower and yelled at the juvenile to get off of her property. Without stepping foot out of the pirogue, the juvenile took the jug and returned to her
Guys, it's like I can't. Hearing it more than once, I'm like, this woman has pressed criminal charges against this kid for getting his fishing line out of her. How bitter and miserable do you have to be in life to be doing all of this? Should we feel bad for Bridget? You must have a very miserable life.
the juvenile's property. She showed the deputy the video surveillance on her computer due to the footage being stored on her computer, and that blank was not completely sure on how to fully operate the system. She was unable to load it to the system. The deputy asked her to save the footage until she could be provided to the citizens link.
How convenient.
Deputy explained how she could not own free-flowing water and how the juvenile retrieving his own property had no criminal intent. But she was adamant about pursuing criminal charges against the juvenile and proceeded to contact her attorney. So I guess she intends to sue us for defamation of character because of my TikToks, so that's new news. Nothing I have said on here has been a lie, or have I ever named her name or anything like that. So she can do what she wants, I assume.
Oh, is Bridget a fake name? Oh, darn. Well, that's okay.
And the fact that the police officer has told her that she cannot own free-flowing water, there was no criminal intent, and she's still adamant to try to pursue charges against my 13-year-old, so that she thinks she's above the law, I assume. That she doesn't have to listen to them by saying, them telling her she cannot pursue charges with my son crossing the waterway that she does not own. Help me make sense of this.
Yeah, that's literally delusion and entitlement. Narcissistic behavior.
Hey TikTokers, so here's the update you guys have been looking for. On July 27th, my neighbors served my family a restraining order, as well as a lawsuit for defamation of character and harassment. We went to court yesterday on the restraining order side of things only, and I'm going to read the restraining order part to you now. The restraining order part read as follows. It is ordered that a temporary restraining order is hereby issued on the plaintiffs furnishing a zero deposit directly to the defendants, us, restraining and enjoining and prohibiting defendants from harassing plaintiffs, defaming plaintiffs, trespassing onto the plaintiff's property, playing excessively loud music at decibel levels beyond what the law allows, posting and publishing on any TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and all other social media platforms, any and all false, defamatory, harassing, disparaging, and all other references to plaintiffs, whether those references specifically name or identify the plaintiffs or otherwise obliquely or indirectly refer to the plaintiff, allowing their dogs, pets, animals, children, relatives, family, and guests trespassing and entering upon the property of the defendants, with which is located at, discharging firearms at or on the premises of our address, except in the event of a legitimate and legal cause for self-defense and any other purpose allowed by law. It was further ordered that we would appear to court on July 31st. So remember, they served us on the 27th and we had to appear in court on July 31st, which we did. And then it got extended to yesterday. So yesterday was the day that we actually ended up going to court for the restraining order itself. Now, here are some of the things that she said that we have caused her damage or she wanted relief for. And that is general damage for emotional distress.
Literally, she should be paying you and your family for therapy sessions.
Loss of peaceable possession of real property, loss of use of enjoyment of real property, invasion of privacy, loss of and or damage to and or impairment of reputation, personal humiliation, embarrassment, mental anguish, any and of all provable special and pecuniary damages, injunctive relief, prohibiting and restraining defendants from engaging in the aforesaid conduct that is contrary to law, legal interest, and recoverable costs.
There's so many different charges and lawsuits that are happening here that I'm already getting lost because there's just so much. My mental state. She should be paying for my therapy as well.
Hi, TikTokers. We had an eventful weekend this weekend, so I want to fill you in. If you've been following along, you know that my neighbors have been harassing us for the past 3 years. Well, we had noticed that she had been using some property that wasn't hers, or had been on some property that wasn't hers, and you would think that she would respect the boundaries, considering she keeps her property markers out all the time.
Oh, have the rules changed?
And she should know where her property starts and ends. But let me just show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I've labeled them. B's house for Bridget is the third one down, and you see that red line that outlines the properties there, and you can see that little piece of land sticking out past the red line that is not hers. And it's actually kind of almost like in her backyard, so it appears to be like it's her backyard, but like I said, because she keeps the property markers out at all times, she should very well know that it does not extend all the way out into the water. But since she wasn't having a clear understanding as to where they were, we went ahead and had installed no trespassing signs with the permission of the landowner, of course. And it just so happens to be that they're right there in her backyard, unfortunately. But at least now she knows where those are, and she'll respect the boundaries like she expects us to.
Oh God.
I don't know if she was there or not when we were installing them, but her husband came out to talk to my husband as he was installing them and asked what he was doing. My husband said that, we were on someone else's land, not their land, and so there was no reason for them to be having this conversation. And of course, he doesn't believe that there is this, he calls it the mythical landowner. There is indeed a landowner, and that landowner definitely has given us permission to be on his property. He was very cordial and just asked a few questions, and they went back inside. No police were called or sheriff.
Well, at least the husband can be cordial and have a normal conversation.
Showed up because I assume they know that that's not their property, and they have no right to call the sheriff on us for being on someone else's land.
I have a good feeling Bridget's not going to be very happy when she comes home and sees those no trespassing signs. It's getting petty. It's getting petty. I mean, it already was petty.
Hey TikTokers, I have something interesting to show you. But before I do, if you're new here, my neighbor has called the police on us 30 times and continues to harass us. Now the interesting part. You see, it's an election year for the sheriff. And look who's endorsed someone running for sheriff. Now, it's not the fact that she's endorsing him that I find interesting. It's the fact that she calls herself a patriot, when just last week she was trying to press charges on a minor for boating and fishing and getting his fishing line stuck in her water fence. And look, it's her right to endorse anyone she wants to. She can endorse the sheriff, the councilman, and good for her. but it's not going to change anything because right is right and wrong is wrong. And a little birdie told me that she thinks that my boys being in a boat is a liability, yet she doesn't find her water fence a liability, the fence that has 2 cables running across it that you can't even see. Stop the madness. Anyways, I thought I'd share that. Interesting how the internet works, huh, guys?
I mean, coincidence? I think not.
Our neighbors have been harassing my family for the past 3 years. And as of last Friday, we officially filed a lawsuit against them.
Yes! We have been waiting for this. We have been waiting for this, for a countersuit, for a lawsuit on your part. Yes! Finally, we've done something here.
Here is how our lawsuit reads and what we filed a lawsuit against them for. Of course, continued harassment, calling the sheriff's office even after we have never been cited or found to have a violation. They've reported us to the sheriff's office for false and unfound claims on baseless accusations of violations, laws, or statutes, and have been told the same by the sheriff's office. This constitutes continued intentional infliction of emotional distress and or negligent infliction of emotional distress. And it is done under the intent to stifle the emotional state and or peaceful possession of the property of small children and their parents. They performed in a negligent manner for similar purpose. The defendants continue to engage in and campaign against us by reporting us to the HOA, code enforcement, and other agencies false and baseless claims. The continued reporting has become public instances.
I always wondered, I'm like, can't they be hit with something for a false police report by now? Because they were all false.
And constitutes intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent inflictions of emotional distress, defamation, invasion of privacy, and harassment. They've engaged in communication, discussions in interested groups for the purpose of defaming our character and harm our reputation within our community, our jobs, and our careers. They've taken pictures and videos of our minor children and retained these pictures and produced some to third parties. The defendants have maintained security cameras attached with floodlights directed at our property, including the fronts and sides of our home. And again, filming the members of my family, which constitutes a continued nuisance, intentional inflictions of emotional distress and or negligent inflictions of emotional distress and invasion of privacy. Our lawsuit reads also that we're seeking damages for this emotional distress, for embarrassment, mental anguish, harassment. All of these things are listed in there and what we're seeking damages for, as well as the cost of our attorney fees. We are tired. We are just a young family wanting our kids to enjoy the river and be little boys. And it is their right to do so. It's our right to do so. They don't own the water. We don't own the water. We're just here to enjoy the sportsman's paradise of our state.
It really is such an incredible piece of property. That's a dream home. For an adult, for kids, that entire property is an absolute dream. And the fact you can't even use it in peace. But it's like, I'm not leaving this property. You are not going to drive me out of here because you're crazy. It's not happening.
This can't be real life. I live in a simulation.
Oh no.
Now they come to us and say they want to settle outside of court and come to some type of an agreement.
Oh!
We're like, okay,
Oh, surprise.
what you got?
We don't want to go to court now. We want to settle outside of it.
How convenient for you. Because you know you're going to lose in court. Take them to court. Take them to court.
And at first they say that they want us to stop doing everything they have in their lawsuit and they'll be willing to drop their lawsuit. And we're like, nah, this is not how this works. So we're like, look, we will drop our lawsuit if you drop your lawsuit. If you live your life and we live ours, point your cameras down your own property line, not at our home. Stop calling the police on us frivolously and filming my kids. And then I wouldn't have anything to talk about on my story on social media like they're so concerned about. And basically, just mind your business. So here's the part that can be real life. They come back in response with, yeah, they agree that they'll drop their lawsuit if we drop ours. We're like, okay, cool. Then they basically say that they're not willing to move or reposition their camera. They're not in agreement that they're going to stop calling the sheriffs because what constitutes a real emergency is what they said. Like, what? What? You don't know what a real emergency is? How about a fishing line going in the water is not an emergency? They agree that boy mom should stop posting on social media about them. Again, it's not about them. It's about what's happening to me. So if you don't agree to stop calling frivolously on us, the police on us frivolously, then I guess the social media story is going to continue. Additional items that they would like. Here's where it gets not real life.
Oh, here we go.
Boy mom is to no longer operate any motor vehicle in such manner as to come close to any of the neighbors. Neither is boy mom to extend her middle finger in the direction of any of the neighbors. This is commonly referred to as giving the finger or shooting the bird. Neither is boy mom to honk or blow any motor or any vehicular horns at any of the neighbors. There would be no further contact in any way of the neighbors and boy mom. I mean, she must be big mad, red hot mad at me in particular, because my name, boy mom, was the one listed specifically on there. So she dislikes me so much. They just don't like me at all, that they had to name just my name on there in the response. Get a life.
So what, are we like whipping out that lawsuit again? Because...
Hey TikTokers, I wanted to answer a few questions I saw in the comments regarding the restraining order our neighbors filed against us. The biggest question, or the most asked question, was, did the judge comment on the waterway? And yes, he did. He said that she does not own the water, we do not own the water, no one owns the water, and the water is for everyone to enjoy. Another question that was asked was, what was her reaction? I really wasn't paying attention to her. I was just happy to have this part of the process over with, and so I really wasn't paying attention to what she was doing, so I'm not sure. I also wanted to mention that my attorney requested for an involuntary dismissal of the restraining order due to lack of evidence, and the judge did grant that. So my attorney didn't get the opportunity to ask any questions to us or them, just because I guess when it was his turn, I should say, he said he wanted to request for there to be an involuntary dismissal. And again, the judge granted that. A lot of you have asked how my boys are handling this. Of course, it's upsetting. They don't like when the police are called on them. It makes them feel like they're doing something wrong. I constantly reassure them that they're not, that to continue to do what they're doing, and remember that always be respectful. And if the police officers ask them, be honest as to what they were or were not doing. And we cannot control other people's actions. So if she's gonna call, she's gonna call, and we will handle it if they come out. I think it's important to show your children on how to react to certain things, because they're looking at you for that reaction.
All right, guys, that's it for this update, because there is so much more in this story. So stay tuned for the next one. If you're a homeowner or a parent and or both, I need your intake. I don't own a home, so I really can't relate to it in that sense. And I'm also not a mother, so I can't relate to putting kids through something like that and how you would handle it. So let me know all of your opinions, but I'm out of here until the next update. That's why I'm here every day. Stay classy out there, stay sassy, and I'll see you tomorrow.